And I knew if I tried to read it, it would be probably, you see a grown man up here, blubbering like an idiot. So I've asked Gil if he would read one of the proudest things I ever wrote, and this was a tribute to my dad on Father's Day.
Thanks, Lincoln. He's titled this one, Son's Day, lasted 365 days a year. My father will never be offered public accolades for being a great man. In the 50s, when great men were risking all as entrepreneurs, my then teenage father was working all hours, hustling to raise a couple of babies, and trying to find work, armed with his 10th grade education. Some weeks, I am told, he earned enough extra money shooting pool at a local tavern to buy luxuries such as a gallon of milk. In the early 60s, when great men were well on their way to fame and fortune, my dad was opening up his house to a fourth mouth to feed. Now, working in a power production plant, he was on a journey that would end up almost 38 years later. Much of that time would be spent working swing shifts and on holidays, away from normal family gatherings. Our holidays were often celebrated at odd times, which we as kids always thought of as simply special hours to open our gifts from Santa Claus. After we were grown, he remembered such experiences and often volunteered to work so that younger men with kids didn't have to make such special memories. Great men of the late 60s were glorified for their landmark work in civil rights legislation. My dad had no time to march in the streets, make speeches about equality and fairness. He was too busy teaching little league teams, being a surrogate father to some young men whose fathers were absent from their own lives. I can still picture in my mind him standing by the dugout with his arm around a 9-year-old black teammate, offering him encouragement while reminding him that baseball and life are team games where we only win when everyone pulls together. While great men were enjoying the fruits of success, my father would spend his free time driving 25 miles after an 8-hour workday at the plant to sit in the junior high school gymnasium. On a good day, you might get to see his son get into a game and contribute to the victory. On a great day, his son might score in double figures. Great men have traveled the country to expand their markets. My dad would drive several hours to sit in the rain and watch his daughter run a 50-second sprint en route to the first of her relay team's consecutive state titles in track and field. Great men probably spent their weekends on a yacht or at the country club, basking in the glow of their success. On a rare weekend day off, my father would spend an entire day sitting in a cold and creaky gym in New Albany, observing 6 hours of non-stop baton twirling just to sit proudly and watch his daughter do a couple of 3-minute routines. On a great day, she would win a trophy. On a bad day, the consolation prize might be an A&W root beer. Today, she will tell you the bad days were pretty good. Great men often risk their fortunes on another chance of even greater success. My dad once risked losing a 15-year career and pension when his vacation request was denied. He took that chance anyway and was sitting in the stands when his son represented his city, his state, and his country during international competition at the Senior Little League World Series. It's true that my father will never be recognized by society as a great man. I guess he just never had the time. You see, he was way too busy being a great father.
I don't know how much of my time has been used. If we wanted to have any question and answer, or anybody wanted to ask me anything, be glad to respond to any questions. Or
Got any comment about Tom Galligan maybe taking over the Democratic Party?
well, that rumor's been floating around the courthouse for a few days. As I'm always reminded when I've asked anybody in the Democratic Party that really knows, they have a caucus and a vote and blah, 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 blah. But I'm pretty much assured, I think that's going to happen unless there's some kind of a rebellion at the caucus. But that has been what everybody is pretty much thinking is going to happen. Bob Butterf, of course, stepped down mainly because he needs a lot more time. He's running for prosecutor. And I'm going to make a point about prosecutor just off the cuff here. I like Bob Butterf. I think Bob Butterf's a good guy. I have worked with Jeremy Mull, who is the current deputy chief, and from a guy who likes to observe and know what's going on in politics, the one thing I'm going to say about this race is I really think in the prosecutor's race, no matter who gets the prosecutor, I really think Clark County is going to end up a pretty good guy. I think this is one of those few races where I see a win-win no matter who we get. I obviously don't endorse candidates, although in the column occasionally I have unendorsed a few after they've been in. Anybody else? I want to tell you again, I want to thank you for having me here. I consider it a privilege and an honor. There's people in this room whom I really have looked up to all my life. I know I picked on Bill Scott a little bit earlier, and Bill knows that I love him to death, and I've always had a lot of respect for him. In fact, in my lifetime, I've gone to a lot of comedy clubs and comedy concerts, but if you weren't at the Humanitarian Gala, when he introduced John Worley as he got Humanitarian of the Year, you missed one of the greatest single comedy performances I've ever been in a room. And John, I'll never forget when he gave you the tribute and said that you two had been together ever since you were in diapers. Of course, John wore his 2 years longer than I did. Bill is an absolute great dinner speaker, and Bill, you know what I think of you, buddy. I appreciate you for letting me have a little fun with you in the beginning. Thank you.